Good evening, guys, and tonight we are going to carry on from earlier once again, where we are having an issue with our unlocked buildings not appearing in our hotbar management. So what I've done here is I have put a print string where we are trying to find out where our unlocked building is, or if a building is unlocked. Okay, so from there we should be able to find out if a building is unlocked or not. Okay, and we have completed this. Okay, now I'm not 100% sure if this is actually going to work or not, but we shall have a look either way. We may have to start a new game and try this again, but we'll try it anyway. And if we now press our button to bring up the hotbar, you'll notice that we have refining 1. Right now, that isn't the actual thing that we want to unlock, funnily enough. Now, I don't know if there's a space there or not, which kind of worries me. But we want to see what this is. So we're going to enable that breakpoint. I don't think we're too far here. I think that actually, I'll tell you what, we'll stop that, right? Because that kind of tells us, right, that we're right up to this point, right? Because we can see that refining 1 has been unlocked. That's basically what this is telling us, okay? But the interesting thing is whether or not this building coming in is going to equal this, right? So what we'll have a look at is this. Okay, so we'll run it again, and we have our stuff unlocked, so that's good. And we can't see it, so it kind of looks to me that we didn't actually get anything out of this, which is strange, of course. So we'll bring that up again, and it's not getting to there, which kind of suggests that this is not getting hit, or this is coming up with false, right? because this isn't greater than 1. Okay, that's what it suggests. Now we'll have to have a check to see if that is actually the case or not. And there we go, we're getting to the breakpoint, right? But it was never hitting this breakpoint, which suggests to me that this is false, right? And it's 0. So it says to me that this has to be false, or this does not get the building's unlocked does not get updated, right? So really we don't actually need to check that, right? What we need to do is let's do a little bit of code over here, right? So we'll get data table, okay, we'll get data table row, right? Now this struct research items, we need to have a look at this to see what it actually says. And this is the int row number. Okay, so we're not going to get that. We're going to get the row name. Okay. Where are we? We're here. Right, so we're going to get the row name, and it's going to come from research items. Right, and we can see these are coming for the name, and we can also see that probably we're going to have to replace any spaces again. Right. We should really write this in the function. I think we'll do that next. Right. So once we've determined this, we go down here. Right, and from our out row, we break this, right, and then we get the buildings unlocked from here. Right, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to get our buildings unlocked from here. And then we're going to add this to here. Then this is going to go to here. Okay, because we're not updating the buildings unlocked. So we want to take that from the base data table. So if we hit our button here, that's going to be 1, right? And that's going to give us our print string, and that's refiner 2, and there we go, we get a refiner 2. Beautiful, absolutely perfect. And I'm just going to go to the toilet for now, so I shall be back in a second. Not great timing, but 2 minutes. Okay guys, a rather inopportune time there, but we're back and ready to go. So that is working exactly how we want it, which is pretty good. Now, the thing is, what we can do here is, if we go back to our Hotbar management, okay, and what we actually want here is we really want to tidy this up for a kickoff, right? But we can take this out then we can join this up. Now, what we can do is, if we go, we're going to take in a string, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to add to our library, function library, right? And we're going to add a function, and it's going to be called replace space. Okay. And we're going to input, a string, right? And then we're going to output a name. Except we're going to call that output. A name. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and we're going to say replace that and then that is going to go to there, right? Now that might seem a little churlish, but you'll see the difference in a minute. If I save that, then we go to Hotbar management, right? Then we go to here and we say replace space, right? And we don't actually even need to do that. We can save that. We can go back to here, right? And we can make this pure and save that. Okay, so now this is pure. Then we can go back to our hotbar management. We can basically delete that stuff and plonk that straight into there, right? And instead of all that messy nonsense, we've just got replace space, right? So that's me using our little function library to compact our code down a bit and make it all a bit tidier. Right, now this, we'll now tidy this up a bit. So move that to there. Right, we can basically move this to here. Then tidy it up a bit to there, that's fine. Right, this can get compacted down. And this can go to here. And my dog's getting upset at something outside. I don't know what that thing is, but we can tidy that up to there. And that can go there. Right, we didn't really want to do that, but anyway. We shall drag this down to here, tidy it up a bit, and there we go. And now this is looking a heck of a lot more tidy. And now if we ever come across the replace thing, which we do quite a lot, right? Here it's here, right? So we can basically say replace space, right, and that can go in there, that can go there, that can go in there, then this can just go completely. And that just completely tidies that stuff up. Whoopsie. Right, and if we want to tidy this up even more, we can just make another reroute node, pop it in there, and that's us done for that. Right? And we can look for any other instances of that, right? So we can say, whoops, if we can find another, well, I'm sure if we look, it's not going to be in there obviously. We can now close down a blueprint library. Right, so that's what we're just looking at. And here's our replace again. And we can just say replace space. And that can go in there. We can delete that, and that can go directly into there and delete that. Right, so what we can actually do now is basically do that, tidy this whole thing up. And we could, if we wanted to, align it to the right, then drag it up a bit. And from here we can do exactly the same thing, place space, that goes in there. Can save that. On drop doesn't require it per se. On drop buildings, we've got another one. Right, so we can delete that. And we can delete that. And then we can say replace space. I don't know why I didn't do this before. I was certainly thinking about it, but I suppose I just never got around to it. It's probably just because it was never really that much of a priority. Put that there. Do the same there. And we can delete that and that. I don't know why that's up there. The whole thing needs tidied up a bit. I don't need this controller at all. Right, so we'll tidy that up in a second or two. Right, so replace space. That goes there. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll drag that in, get it, that's going to go there, Then we can delete that. We can duplicate that. Can go there. We can duplicate it again. Can go in here. And we can duplicate it again, and it can go in here. And now this whole thing can go. And now we are a lot tidier. Now I don't think it ever does this. But we'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now. Right, and this can go up here. And this can go down here. And that's a lot neater and tidier, I would say. So we shall save that. And then we'll go to the event graph, and the event graph doesn't do anything other than set up our controller. And I believe we've done that. Has we got any more that requires the space? Apparently not. It's all well and good. Save that. I'm pretty sure this doesn't need it. Nope. Right, so we'll go to the next. That's the one we were doing. Now the interesting thing is going to be this one, right? And there we go, there's a replace straight away. So replace space. And that can go straight in like so. That can be deleted, and that looks a heck of a lot better right away. And that's that one. And maybe the next one we come across, well, that's actually an append, so that's not really what we're looking for, but I'm sure there's a million that use, or there's a lot that use the replace. I'm just wondering if we can actually do a search on that. Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure there's going to be bajillions in this. Yeah, I thought so. So this is stats counter. Let's have a look. Yep. So we can do replace space. To be honest, this is probably a job for like offline, to be fair. That can go deleted. Okay, so we'll save that, and we're now on add series ID, and This one's a little bit different, but kind of the same. So replace. We're going to have to copy this, right? Because we're doing it quite a lot. So we'll copy that. It's going to go in there. That's going to get deleted. And it can go underneath. And I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll delete that. We'll drag that down there. Then we shall plug it in there. And do that. Okay, so we'll save that. And we've now got our replace space ready to go. So we've got, right, we don't want a replace space, okay? We just want the replace. So we paste that. We plug it in there. And we plug it in there. Then we can delete that. Drag that up. Looks good. Right. Then we grab the next one. And that's fine because this we can paste. That can go there. That can go in there. That can undo that. We can delete that, plug that up there. Save that. Then we can go to the next one, which is here. Ooh, this is a horrific one. So we delete that. That's not even plugged in, so we don't really need to do this one. So I'll tell you what, we'll just clean that up. Right, so that was an output object. Now this is kind of funnily the same thing. Right, we paste that in. We do that, plug that in, save that, job's a good one. Right, now we're on to this construction script. That ain't used. Let's tidy it up. And that ain't used. So let's clean that up. Now we're on crafting. And we can paste that, delete that, delete that. This can go in here. This can go up here. Compile that. And we're on the crafting list. And the second one. Okay. Kind of similar. Delete these. Paste. Drag that to there. Drag that to there. Drag these up. Job's a good one. Okay, so we're at the crafting list, so we're getting through these. Can you refresh this list? I don't know. Doesn't tell you how many items are in this either. This list is very long. Some of them we don't really need, but we can take a look. Right, so where were we? We're on the crafting list, right? Drag drop. Okay, so that's fine. So we just paste that in. And we're not so keen on that one. Like that. So we'll put it like that. Save that. Okay. So that was the drag drop image. So we're now over here in the inventory item, and we've got the same type of thing here. So we can paste that and basically put it here. Okay, save that. And that was the inventory item. So we've now got inventory storage, and it's the exact same thing again. Alright, so whether we do it there or there is entirely, you know, it's entirely preference really, isn't it? Right, so that was inventory storage. Now, a thing we could do here is we could hit replace again, and you'll notice that we've got a lot less. Okay, and a lot of these are now replace space. Okay, so we can delete that, we can paste again, we can drag this up, drag this over. Now the thing is, if we'd done this from the start, obviously this would be a lot tidier. We wouldn't need to go through every single one of these, which kind of shows you that it's a bit of a pain to actively go back and change all of these things. And it's a bit of work, but it's not inherently difficult. It's just a matter of, you know, going back and replacing all this stuff. Right? I mean, it isn't going to make the code any more or less faster or more efficient or anything like that, but it's just a lot tidier to look at and a lot easier to understand, and there's a lot less pins hanging about, which in effect actually should make it slightly more efficient. I mean, it's not going to be much in it, but alright, we don't know if we need this or not. I mean, it goes in here. I suppose we should really change it. You never know if this is actually used for anything, so, and it tidies it up anyway. Even if it isn't used, it makes it look a lot cleaner. You can see now that that looks a lot better. Right. So that's the one we just did, I think. And it should be now this one. Right, and once again, we can just paste that there. We can grab the name for there and we can plug that into there. Then we can basically delete those two. Right, that can go like that. And then we can actually drag this up to here. Then let's tidy this right up and do alignment right. Right, and then we'll drag this up. And then we'll save that. Okay. And that was research station, which is this one here. Then we wanted, well, we don't want to do that because that's the actual function library. And this is a nice one actually. This one, actually, these ones go to here. That gets deleted. That goes to here. We can drag this down a bit, and then this can basically go like that. We can drag these back a bit just to get it to, that looks nice. Save that. So it's all going very nicely here. And that was W stats. So that was the first one, I believe. Right. Then this one, we can basically go like that, and that goes like that. This can get deleted. We can straighten this connection, drag this up a bit, save it, and there we go. So that's just do stats one done. And then we've got one more in the stats by the looks of it. Yep. We can delete that. Then paste that. And that looks a lot better. Okay. That's looking good. We can save that. And what we can do here is hit return again. And now you'll notice that we've got a lot less. In fact, we're nearly done. So what we'll do here is we've got one here at research button. Oh, this is a perfect one to do. So we can paste again. That goes to there. And that goes to there. And these get deleted. We can save that. Then we can check our next bit. So it looks like that's not it, because that's a function library. We've done that one. Right, so we're now at here, at recipe details. Okay, this is looking like a great place to do it. So we can just basically delete that. Then we can paste. That can go in there. That can go there. That can go like that. Save that. And again, this is perfect for our little pure function, because that can go in there, that can go straight into there, and we can just doopy that up there. We can pop that to there, and if we really wanted to, we could just put that there. Well, that's probably not a great idea. It's not the worst idea, but it's not the best idea either. And in fact, what we should really do, because of the way that's situated, we should really do that. And we should do these either to the right or to the left. We'll do them right. Right, that tidies things up a bit better. Save that. And that was mining details. So now we're on storage item. Right. And again, this is perfect for our little function. And there we go. And that's going to be, first of all, a save all. Right, now the thing we can do here is we can say probably the space, right, and then we can see what we've got. This is the function library, so we don't need anything to do with that. Everything else is looking great. Comment, everything else is looking good. We've got replace conveyor, comment, we've got these two here. So we'll quickly finish these two off. Right, so that's going to go in there. That's going to go in there. And then this is going to be tidied up nicely by doing that. And then finally, this is going to be nice again. That's going to go to there. That's going to go to there. We're going to paste our little function in there. That's going to get joined up like so. We're going to save that. Beautiful. And that's us. So we're going to hit the save all button. Then we're going to close this down because there's a lot of stuff open. All of this is nothing to do with the replace because all of these have been done. Right, so you'll notice that there's no, well, that's the FE controller, so that's okay. We have no just replaces anywhere. It's a comment, right, and that's replace space. That's us finished, completely done that. And on that, we're going to go for a quick break. So if you're enjoying the stream, or just joining, or whatever, check out the description, hit the like and subscribe, and I shall be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. Okay guys, we are back. Let me just get a drink of my lemon juice and we shall carry on. I don't know why that subscribe button's there. Right, because I basically took it away, but it still seems to be showing up, which is a bit of a mistake, but anyway, let's not worry too much about that. And anyway, where are we? Right, let me know guys if that big subscribe button is on the screen all the time, because it shouldn't be. But hey ho, let's not worry about it. So where are we? Well, the point is now we are getting our Refiner 2 button because we have done our Refiner 2 thing. Whereas if we haven't, i.e. we start a Ref 6, right, and we hit that button, it's not there, right, because we haven't actually done it, right. But if we stop the game and start it again and then load from Ref 5, right, and we press 0, Ref 2 is there, Refinery 2, right, so that's all working absolutely perfect. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to get that grid, okay, so we want to go to the hotbar. We want to go to hotbar main, I believe, and we want to go to, this is a UGP. I didn't think this was a UGP. No, that's okay, right? That's the wrong thing. It's in here. I'm losing my... So what we're saying here is, we'll close that down for now, right? That gives us our buildings and our conveyors. Hi Jameson, how you doing, mate? Right, since it's basically you again here tonight, what I've done is I used to have like a thing to replace spaces, right? So basically what I've done is I have done a function library, right? I already had a function library, which is here, and I basically added this replace space, right? Because this was getting put everywhere, where I had to basically replace a space so that I was getting the data table row name correct, right? Because basically what I do is give the row name the same name as a building, except I remove all the spaces, right? Because you can't have a space in a data table row name, okay? So I put this into a function library so that I can call it from anywhere, and then basically replaced every single reference to this little bit of code, right? And basically what it does is it takes a space out, right? Takes any spaces out. And that was that. And that took me about half an hour to go through every single one, but I'm happy with the results. Now, the thing we're doing here is, and this might be interesting to you, and I'm going to do there's going to be a tutorial on my Unreal Engine basics about this, right? But the part I'm not happy with is this here, right? Because this isn't lining up, okay? I want this to line up. No, just a space and text, right? I'll let you see, right, what I mean by that, right? It's easier to show you here. Right, so I've got my menu buildings, okay? Now, if you look here, this is the row name. So this is what I'm going to be searching for when I look in this data table, right? But you'll notice that the building name has spaces, right? And basically what I do is I remove these spaces, and that gives me the actual name, right? So if it's like storage space container, I just pass it to the replace space, and it gives me back what I know is going to be the row name, right? So in effect, this research thing is going to be wrong, right? Because it should actually be research station. But I'm not going to mess with it for now. But just a little reminder to myself on that one. Right, and that's the same. Like you'll see Refiner 2 has got a space in it, right? And that's where I get the text from. Okay, so when I'm putting the thing on the screen, I want the space. But when I'm looking for it in the data table, I don't want the space. Okay? Right, so as I said, you can just do little functions like that inside a blueprint, a blueprint function library, okay? And it just basically gives you access to do like simple things, and then you can use it everywhere in any blueprint, okay? So, but the thing that we're looking at here is this. And this is probably going to be interesting to you, right? Now, usually when you build these up, right, you'll pad them out, or you'll use a uniform grid, right? But I've just used a normal grid here because I don't want them spaced out. I want them like spaced how I want to space them. Okay, now if this was a uniform grid, you would have this one here, and then this one would be in the middle, and then this one would be at the end, because it would be uniformly spacing it with how many things it had in it. So you'd basically get this one would be here, and this one would be here, and it would be the same, this one would be here, and this one would be here, right? So we don't want that, but what we do want is to space it in exactly the same way, right? Now we want a bigger amount to be given to this index 0, right? This is index 0, index 1, index 2, okay, on the column count, right? These are all individual grids, okay? So this is a grid, this is a grid, this is a grid. Everything is placed at row 0, but the columns are different, okay? So, what we've got to do here is we're going to have a look at our actual grids, okay? So, if we stop it, and as I said, this is where it might get interesting for you, is this should not be a uniform grid. Oh yeah, it should. This uniform grid is just to basically make it scroll properly. Okay, so you'll see that in here there's an actual grid. Or actually, there's 5. So for the buildings, there's the refiners, the smelters, the fabricators, metalworks, and research. Okay, but what I can do with this is I can give these like column rules, okay? So, for example, what I can say is that the first column gets 35%. Now, this is a normalized number, so you could do it 0.35 or whatever you want, right? But it's just like a percentage of the total that you actually put in here. So if I give column 0 35%, and I know that there might be, let's say there's 3 other columns, right? Which means it would have to be 65 divided by 3, which would give us basically 22. But let's say we had 4 columns, right? Or let's say we had 5, which means that we've got basically 65 divided by 5. And that gives us 13, right? So what I could do is I could put another 5 in and then basically say 13, 13, 13, 13, and 13. Right, now that should come to a total of 100. So this first column is going to get 35% of the size of the grid on the x-axis, okay? So if that works properly, then all I need to actually do is copy this across to this, right? So we'll test it first and we'll see what it does. Now I'm hoping this works really well, and I think it will. It might look a bit weird to start with, but in the end it's going to work. See that? How we've now got, now the reason that there's a big space here is because I've got a huge amount of padding here, right? I'm going to pull the padding right back on this. And this has actually ended up exactly how I wanted it. I wanted this to be like full, so that you got like a nice thing here, right? So when I do this and I click on the smelter, then I do column fill and paste, then I grab this one, column fill, paste, right? I do that one, column fill, paste, column fill, paste, right? Watch what happens. And because the grid size is always the same for every single one of these, right? Now look at that. Right, now this is going out a bit, but we're not worried about that, and that's why this smelter thing is getting pushed to here, right? So now what we can do is actually change our buttons so that they're right, okay? And then we can adjust this slightly for how we want to do it, okay? So what we'll do, I don't know why the refiner one's so small in comparison to the rest. I'm guessing that's because these two this has got 2, right? Now I'm guessing I've got one little thing. It's a little bit weird, right? Basically what happens is, right, see with a grid, if there's nothing in a particular column, it basically ignores it, right? So, for example, right, if these are all column 1, okay? This is column 0, this is column 1, and this is column 2, right? If there was nothing in here, this wouldn't move, right? But if there was nothing in all the column ones, basically this would move to here, right? As I said, I'm doing a tutorial on this one that's going to probably be out in the next day or so, which I'm going to have examples of what happens when you use column spans and when you remove like an index but there's still another index the same on a different row, right? And this is basically how I actually do, best way to do this is to show you this, right? This is done in exactly the same way, right? But this part here, it looks like there's a space, but there's not. This is just a blank one of these, right? Which gives me the space, right? Because if I had that, if this was like column 6, and this was column 7, and this was column 8, right? Yeah, that's exactly what you do, right? Because if this column was completely empty, these would all just move to here and you would have no space at all, okay? So you've got to put something in here, right? So that this gets moved out, okay? Now the interesting thing is these are all, the columns are all saved in a data table, right? So basically what I say is column 0's got something, column 1 hasn't, but it puts a blank in column 1, right? And then it says, okay, we're okay for column 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, column 6 needs a blank, but column 7 doesn't, okay? And it does the same for the rows. Okay, so the columns and rows are set up with data tables to say we need a blank in there, we need a blank in here, we need a blank at this row, we need a blank at this column, okay? And basically what it does is it goes and it puts a blank here and a blank here, right? Now remember, if you put one in, then it affects the rest, okay? So basically by putting a blank at the top here and here, it spaces these to the right place, right? Interesting when you work with it, but it does kind of make sense in the end. Right, so that's what we're trying to do here, right? Now, the issue we've got at the moment is our individual buttons for the hotbar maintenance are kind of wrong, right? Well, they're not kind of wrong, they just need adjusted again now that I've actually set it up with the fills, rather than actually trying to kind of do it with padding, which was a bad idea to start with, but hey ho, we all make mistakes. Right, so I can't even remember what to do with this, to be fair. So we're going to have to go into the code here and check what we do and what actual buttons we add, so that I can look at the button and find out which one we create. So it's this category button. So the category button, we're going to do a category button, then we're going to do a available individual widget button, okay? So that's the two that we need. Okay, so we can look at this, click on that, that's going to bring it up in our content browser. So you can see here this button, right? And now we can look at the padding to see what padding we've got on it, right? And you'll notice somewhere we'll have a crap load of padding on it somewhere. It might not actually be on here. It should be, but there was a load of right hand padding on one of the. Apparently not. Right, so I must do it somewhere else. Here it's here, see that padding there? 150. Right, so if I bang that to 0, you'll notice that that jumps out to there. Right? And let's try that and see what happens. Right, now this padding has jumped right out. Now the weird thing is that this is only supposed to be 35%. Right? But apparently it's not. And for some reason these are much bigger because of something. Now I'm guessing it's because of these, right? And the way we can test that, right, is we can stop it, right? And this is going to give us exactly the same result. So if we say we start ref 6, right, that's got no research done, right? So it should be just 1 for all of them. And you'll notice that they're all exactly the same. Right? Now, I'm kind of not buying the fact that this is 35%, right? This looks more like about, well, I don't know. Would you say that was 35%? There's still a lot of padding for whatever reason, right? But what I'm going to do is yeah, I don't think it is. But we can have a look at that in a second, right? Yeah, it does look like a bit more than 35, but it might just be because of the padding, right? So this isn't the final look anyway, but we'll work with it for the moment and we'll get it to some sort of functional look, right? And I think we're going to do that if we pull this down to like 25, right, which gives us 75. Right, and basically that means that these are all going to be 15. Right. Now we are going to have to check all the spacing on these because I'm not convinced. And we just did it on that one when I really wanted to do it on the top one just to get an idea. Maybe it doesn't make any difference because you're telling it's going to fill the whole thing, right? This is more related to this size here rather than the individual grid, right? But we'll try it. We have changed it from, right, so that has brought it back a bit. Right, now I do actually think I know what is going on here. I think these are centered when they should be left. Right, everything should be aligned left. Right, so we'll stop that for now. I think this is good. This is what I like to call widget wrangling, right? Because I'm kind of just wrestling with the widgets and trying to get them to do what I want them to do, and I'm not 100% sure, although I have got kind of an idea of what I'm doing, but I haven't got an exact idea of kind of what I'm doing. So I'm just kind of wrestling with all the widgets and trying to force them to do what I want them to do, which obviously sounds a bit crappy, but hey ho, you can't know everything about everything. Right, so that's good, right? But we've still got this issue regarding our, basically these things here, right? And the other thing was, if we remember rightly, it was the available individual, right? Now, if we look at this, we want to pay a particular attention to any padding or any alignment that says center. Right, now this maybe shouldn't be size to content, right? So we'll bear that in mind for now. And what we'll say is that, now there you go, that looks a lot better already. And our problem now, actually, I'm going to hit that button there. You'll notice how it made a huge difference there. So that should be 100 by 100. See, this is the part where it says 100 by 100, right? And this is the part where it might be forcing it to a certain size. Remember how earlier you said it was forcing it to a size? This is the part that forces it to a size, right? Now, this scale box this should be left as well, but you'll notice that it hits it left there, right? So what I'm thinking is, let me just put this in the center again, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this also with a size box, right? And what I'm going to say is 100 by 100. So this box can't be any bigger than this, right? And with a scale box, the text should be scaled to the box. Okay? That's what should happen here. Now, what I'm kind of interested in here is why this... Well, let's do that first, right? We'll do the first thing first and we'll see what kind of result we get. And then we'll take a look at it for there, right? So, okay. That has really screwed us up. Okay, you'll notice how the text is getting smaller, so it's being sized correctly, right? Now, the thing I might want to do here is actually hitting that button there again. Stop it, save it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can actually use CSS and stuff like that to do some of the widget stuff, but okay, this is looking better, right? Now, our issue here is that this size box is saying 100 height, which is a problem, right? And we're not going to say use a height, right? And if we do that, and you'll notice that this has got some kind of padding on it, right? Because it's not hard up against the edge, right? So that's obviously going to cause us an issue as well. But there we go. Now we've got pretty much exactly what we want. Right? And you'll notice that the size of the text is being scaled to the 100. Right? So we've got this border, and I'm guessing, yeah, that border's got the 50, right? Which is okay, but I'm going to take it out for now, and now this should all be lined up correctly, right? But there is going to be no border or no padding at all between, well, actually we have, right? Okay, now the question is, where is this padding coming from, right? And to be honest, I don't think it's coming from anywhere, right? I think I might have to put blanks at 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, and 4 when they aren't actually filled in, right? But we'll worry about that in a second, because what I want to do is I want to try it with our other save game, which is ref 5, which has got a second button on it. And yeah, it's kind of obvious that yes, in a word, yes. So what I think I'm going to have to do here is actually add blanks. Right? But I'm going to call that a win, right? Because I now have it set up that when I put the blanks in, it's all going to actually work fine. Or the other option, right, is to have anything that you haven't researched yet show up but like have a cross out so that you can actually drag and drop that onto one of these, right? Which is at the end of the day the whole purpose of this particular screen, right? So I'm going to call that a win. Because it is kind of doing exactly what I want it to do. Right? Now, the one thing I would like to do here is, if we go to here, then we go to text box, and then we'll add a bit of left hand padding. Right? So if we like add 10, that's, well, let's add 20. Right, that's at least going to give a little space for the edge. Yeah, I've got that, I'll show you, right? I've actually got it at the moment in another section, right? So I'll show you that. Right, so now we've got a bit of space and it's looking better. Everything's cool. We're super happy with that. Right, so let me show you. So you'll notice that you can build everything just now, right? But if I build some, actually, here's a better way of doing it, right? What I can do is I can go to my inventory and I can basically get rid of the iron ore, copper ore, and you'll notice now everything's crossed out, right? And if I do it again, but do it with iron sheet, everything's now crossed out, right? I can't build anything. Right, so I've already got the sort of code and the thing to do this. So yeah. All good. Right, so we've kind of tidied that up a bit. And okay, so this would take a little bit of work. I don't know if I want to start this right now. It'll involve updating some of the code that I just wrote, which is basically the stuff that if we do hotbar management, right, it's this part here where it checks to see if it's unlocked. I suppose that's going to be, now that I've done that, that's actually going to be fairly simple. Because rather than draw this, I shall just draw a blank, right, that won't have like a drag drop component to it. So in effect, right, what I could do is, right, wait a minute, let me have a look at that again. It's W available individual, right. So what we could do is we could duplicate this, right, and then we could say underscore locked, right? And then in here, what we can actually do has this got, yeah, it's got the drag drop stuff. So on here, we basically just delete this stuff. Right? So we save that. Then if we go to main, sorry, I'm losing place here. It's not there either. Oh no, I'm losing my, right, it must be here. Right. So that's okay to there, right? Now what we do is we do this, except we don't. We do available individual locked, right? And if that is false, we do that. Then we plug all the stuff right. We'll just do this for now and then we'll tidy it up later, right? Right, now I believe we're going to have to copy paste that to here. Right, so forgive me for that. Because I think if we plugged it into here, this is going to get a bit upset. I mean, you could try it. Yeah, see how it's not done it right. Right, so this is actually going to have to go into here, which is fine. That's all fine. That's going to go into the target, and then this is going to go into here. Right, so one of them will, the first one will be drag droppable, the second one won't. Right, so we can save that. Right, now in this instance it should be still drag droppable, right? Refinery 2 should be drag droppable, and there you go. Right, but if we stop it, right, and we press play again, and we click new game, and we cancel that, right, because we'll pick reference 6, okay that. Now when I do it, this will be not drag droppable. See that? You can't drag drop it. Right? So what we can do, because we're mega screwy, is we can go to the locked, we can go to designer, right? We can get this border, right? And then I've got no idea what that texture's called. Right. Now, I don't know how I think I'm going to come across it here, but actually, no, I think it's, what we can do is we could actually go to our hotbar buttons, which is individual button building, and we can go to the button image, and not that one. This is going to have to be on the all available image. Then we can copy that. Right, then we can go back to what we were looking at, which is this thing here. Then we can click on the border and paste it, and then we can make it red, and then we can make it not transparent. Right, and then oh damn it, has this not got a Z order? It's not got a Z order. Anyway, we can live with it like that if we want. Right? So there you go. Do you like that? And as I said, you can't drag that, but you can drag all the others, right? But you can't drag that. And there you go. How's about that? A lot of the, you'll notice here, right? If I click on these, right, a lot of them will have a Z order at the top here. Like, it's got a Z order. So you can actually order them. Now, there is other ways of doing it. Yeah, it's just preference really for that one. But a lot of the stuff has got a Z order. Some of it obviously doesn't, but you can do other things, like you can make it a grid, and you can basically give the same index on the grid to two different things, right? And then there it's not called Z order, it's called layer, right? And you can do it like that. But normally when you're setting this stuff up, a lot of it has got a Z order, right? Where you can shuffle things to the back and all the rest of it. It just so happens with this, there's nothing with a Z order. But yeah, I quite like it the way it is as well. I've got no issues with that, the way it's looking at the moment. I'm quite happy with that. Right, the only other way to do it is, well, I don't know if that would even look very good actually, but we'll try it. Right, so it's in here. No, it's not. It's this image, sorry, border, right? And it's to actually just make it white, right? I don't know how that's going to look. I don't think that is actually as obvious. This would only be more obvious if it was on top, right? I think it's more obvious on the red. Right, I don't know, it's just a personal preference, I think, on that one. Now, apparently I'm just nice enough to show you and talk about what I'm doing. But I've been considering, like, charging for personal tuition. Reasonable, but, you know, personal tuition where I show you how to do things that you're trying to do. But I don't know how good or bad an idea that is. But yeah, this is actually, it's not something I thought of, and why I don't mind. This is another reason why you open it up to people, because people give you ideas of how to do something that might not have occurred to you, right? But I quite like this. This is looking actually pretty okay. Now, I'm not too sure if the red is the better option here, but I mean, we can go for absolute pure red here. I mean, that's definitely going to give you the idea that that isn't allowed. Right. Or maybe just go for like an X or something, you know? Maybe the X would be better considering the angle of this image. If I'm going to do the same angle of image every time, you know? Maybe the X will look better because it's going to pop out the corners better. No worries, mate. As I said, depends what you want. If it's just one question or whatever, just throw it in the Discord and I'll try to answer it. Right, here is a point, okay, that I very rarely discuss, right? But most of the stuff that I'm doing here, it's backed up by, well, not the widgets, but let's say the buildings, right? All of the building stuff, right? I'll show you what I mean here, right? What I've been doing is when I make a blueprint, right? For example, the base building, right? If I can find it for not looking at it, right? You'll notice it's parented to a C++ class, right? So I have all the classes ready to go if I want to convert them, okay? So that's something I do as a sort of normal process, so that when I'm making a new blueprint, I make a C++ blueprint first, and then I parent the new blueprint to the C++ class, right? So that it's optionally available to me. I'll leave this, put it this way, I'll leave the C++ class blank, okay? Right? But it's there so that I can actually amend it. If I want to like move some functions in there, I can move functions from the actual blueprint into the C++ class. And I don't need to create anything, it's all done. I do that at the front end when I'm actually creating a blueprint class. right? Just as a little aside there. But there are some blueprint classes in this project, right? Not many, and they don't do an awful lot, but they are there, right? So just bear that in mind. So like, for example, this output object, I'll bet you I picked one, yeah, picked one that isn't actually. Yeah, what you got to remember is, right, when you create a blueprint, right, say I create a blueprint class, right, if I say, like, let's say an actor, right, and it'll tell you that the parent class is an actor, well, that's actually a C++ class, right? Right, but you want your own C++ actor class, right? So an empty C++ actor class is exactly the same as a parent blueprint actor class, right? So basically, right, if I go to here and say create new C++ class, I get the same options, right? I can create a pawn, I can create an actor, right? And all this does is make an empty child of the actor C++ class, right? But it's a C++ version of it, right? And then when I create my blueprint, I just parent it to the C++ class that I just made, right? So, for example, if I open C++, right? You'll see that most of my stuff is empty, right? But that's by design, right? That's because I just want it there in case I decide to use it, right? So you'll see here, base enemy, it's completely empty, right? That's basically what an empty class looks like, right? And if we look at the H, that's basically empty. That is what is generated by an empty class, right? When you create a character. So that is a character, okay? If we do well, we don't want to look at that actually. So if we look at the base building, this is an actor component, right? And then we can look at the CPP, and you'll notice again, this is completely empty, right? It's just got the basic functions of an actor component, right? And this, again, is just got the default for the actor component, right? So if I look at CPP building, that's another actor component, right? And you'll notice again, it looks exactly the same, right? But if I want to move any of the functions from the blueprint into here, it's easy for me to do that, right? And then I can make them available to blueprints, and then I can call them directly. Okay, so basically that's what I do with the buildings, or sorry, the blueprints when I'm parenting them. Okay, now I do actually have helper functions in here. Yeah, here, function library, right? So these are like a function library, except in C++, right? And it says blueprint callable, right? So I can actually call these functions from anywhere, right? So if we remember this return rounded mouse location, right? And if we look in here, right, and that's return E direction, return rounded grid, return rounded vector. So this is it here, right? We can call this function directly, right? So that's called return rounded mouse location, right? So if I close that, as I said, I don't use a lot of C++ at the moment, but it is there. But what I can do is say return rounded mouse location, and you'll notice it comes from C++ FE helper, right? But I can call that directly from the blueprint, so that it works like a blueprint function library, except it's not a blueprint function library, it's a C++ function library. Okay, so obviously I pass in these variables and I get a vector out. Okay, so that's just a little description of a couple of things that's going on in the background that I don't really explain because I don't use it a lot, so it's kinda, I don't like to as I said, I'm not a C++ expert, so I don't, and there's not enough of it to going on that I need to try to explain it over and over again to people, so I just don't. But just be aware it's there. So I think I'm going to call it at that. And thanks for popping along, Jameson, and thanks for anybody else that popped in. And I've got the usual saying of like and subscribe, check the description to join the Discord. If you want to support the channel, click on the link to my game and hit it, add it to your wish list, or if you want to buy it, or if you want to join the Patreon, blah 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 blah, right? And I shall be on tomorrow, same time, 2 PM Central. And thanks again, guys. So I shall see you later. Bye bye for now.